Aloha! It's Ori, and I am in Maui, Hawaii. I just got here yesterday, and it has been beautiful weather. In fact, over there, that's the ocean. That's like a block walk if I want to walk over there. And it's been wonderful. Now, so not only is this my first video from Hawaii, but this is my first video of storytelling time. I should probably make some kind of fancy opening graphics, like story time with Ori or something like that. But I'll think about that later. Here's the thing. I'm a storyteller. I love telling stories. Like this one time I got pulled over in Texas. I was speeding. The car was a little foggy, and I was changing lanes and passing people, and I was talking on the phone, and all of a sudden, I was talking to my older brother, and I see the blue and red lights behind me, and I said, "Dude, bro, gotta go, cops, bye." Hang up, and I lower the window, and I turn on the AC, and attempt to get the car to air out a little bit, and I pull over, and the state trooper pulls up behind me, and he sticks his head in the passenger window, and he looks inside, and I have all my stuff there. It is in 2007, so I had a lot more stuff. I had like professional studio lights with me. I cared about photography a lot more back then, right? He sticks his head in, and he looks to the left, and he looks to the right, and he's like, "Son, are you moving or something?" And boy, was that the right question, right? So I take out my business card. If you haven't seen it, on one side of it, it's got me sitting there in the thinker pose on a couch wearing a suit. On the other side, it's got me in a little tank top, and there's 4 lingerie models ripping my shirt off, and my hair's like braided and cornrows and spray painted different colors. And yeah, that's my business card. So I hand it to him, of course, women's side up, and I say, "Oh no, you see what I've been doing is I'm traveling around the country completely based on whose couch I'm crashing on, and I just finished staying at some UFC cage fighters, and I stayed at an all-girls college, and I just start telling them all these stories. I'm nervous as all hell because I don't want to get arrested or anything crazy like that, and so I start telling him all these stories, and he is engaged. He is getting into the stories. He's asking questions. He's like, "So, well, what happened with the cage fire? Did this, that?" And he's asking all these questions. Finally, after about 15 minutes, I'm already comfortable at this point. I'm in storytelling mode. I'm in the flow. He's asking questions. I'm answering them with more stories. Finally, like the third or fourth time that he looks up, that a car goes speeding by. You know those damn speeders. Passes really fast, and he's like, you can tell it's bothering him because he's supposed to be there busting these people. So he finally, after like the fourth one, it just hauls ass right past. He pulls his head out the window and goes, "All right, sir, you drive safe now." Never even told me what I was pulled over for. So my point is, storytelling is just a wonderful thing. You can engage people. You can connect with people. You can sell something. You can get a point across to try and help someone with something that you wouldn't if you flat out told them what it is that you want them to get. And the reason that this works is because storytelling is one of the oldest forms of communication. I mean, think about it, right? When you're a kid, you're going to go to sleep. It's story time. Your parents would tell you a bedtime story. Back in the day, before we had the internet or telephone or telegram or newspapers or anything like that, you'd know what's going on in the world because a traveling merchant or storyteller would have just come from another town, another city, and they'd tell you what's going on over there. "Oh yeah, over in France they have these new fabrics, and they got these new ships," and so that's how people would know. So I'm a storyteller. I've gone through a lot of crap in my life, all sorts of cool, crazy adventures. Sometimes I've screwed up, sometimes I've done really neat things, and so these stories are great. Now I'm a public speaker. In fact, heck, you can find me on the first page of Google if you just Google public speaker. And yes, I'm available to speak at your event, but really, I love storytelling. So I'm going to start recording it, and feel free to comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what stories you'd like to hear. I got stories on everything, all right? So, since I have no idea what that noise is, but that's all right. Since I went jogging today, I went running. One of the things that I'm really excited about about being here in Hawaii is that Tara, one of the people that I'm couch surfing with, she has been running since she was 12. She runs in marathons and triathlons, and she also swims and bikes in triathlons. And she said she's going to train me because right now I can run. I just did a 10K, and I don't know what my time is because Hell Run cheated on the times to make everyone happy because they screwed up on everything else. You know, like their obstacles were really weak. The Raging River was more like the stagnant cesspool. I mean, it really stunk. It was moving. It was nasty. So, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So, but I've run an official 10K. Now, when I timed myself, my new cell phone, since it's got GPS and I can run apps on it, it lets me time and measure my runs. And what I did was I ran 13.1 miles after I ran the 10K because that's a half marathon. And so 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon is the way I figured it. So I'm able to run a half marathon, the distance I can do. I just want to improve my time. I was running 12 and a half minute miles, and when I was training for the 10K for the 2 weeks that I knew about it, I was doing 11 and a half minute miles. So that's not horrible, but I'm not going to place. I'm not gonna rank. I'm not gonna win a medal for running that slowly. There's a lot of people that enter these races that are in the military. They're in the police force. They're really competitive. There are runners that look like stick figures, and that's not me. I run because when I run, it clears my head. I get all my best ideas. I just enjoy nature and just seeing things on different scales. See, when you're driving past something, you're not seeing all the little details. You're not seeing that one flower or that small lawn ornament that someone may have. But if you're running, you see everything. So I just enjoy that. But why not run? So Tara said she can get me down a 7 minute mile, and that's almost cutting my time in half. So I'm really excited about that. So we're running today, and she asked me, and that's why today's story is how did I get into running? But it's really about a whole lot more than that. You see, what happened was I was I came from Israel on my ninth birthday, and I was this skinny little thing, and we didn't have back then. Now in Israel, you have everything. But back then, we did not have all the fast food places that you have here in America. I remember it was a big deal when we got McDavid's, which was kind of close to McDonald's. But that was like years after we left Israel. We left on my ninth birthday, and my parents got a fast food place in the mall called All American Hero. It's Philly cheesesteaks. I mean, people from Philly would come over and tell my parents how much they loved their place because this was in Philly. Apparently, when you get a hoagie over there, it is like dripping through the bread with grease. Well, ours is really good. And my parents would be like, hey, we're coming home. What would you like for dinner? I'd be like, I'll have the 12-inch with double meat and triple cheese and mayonnaise and tomatoes and more cheese and a bag of chips and a 32-ounce lemonade Sprite mix, which of course is always sugar, and mozzarella sticks and cheese fries. And I'd eat it all. And better bring a second bag of chips just in case. Plus, we were now, since they had a restaurant, they were shopping at Costco's. This is back before everyone had Costco and Sam's Club and all that stuff. So we're buying it in bulk, and left to my own devices while my parents were working, I would just go through like can after can of Dinty's beef stew and all the other Chef Boyardee things. So I was eating a lot. So I became this short, fat kid. So, how do you undo that? It's hypothetically run. Running is, well, any exercise really, but I was never into sports. I didn't like football. I didn't like soccer. I didn't like basketball. I liked baseball, but not because I wanted to know how to play. I just thought the bats were cool. I had a baseball bat, but I never played. I wasn't very coordinated. I couldn't hit the damn ball. I couldn't catch a damn ball, and I wasn't a fast runner. Damn ball. That's Craig, then, and that's Tara, the one who's gonna make me run faster than a speeding ticket. And So, I wasn't very coordinated. I wasn't into the sport. I'm still not. So, how did I start running? Well, figure I tried it a little bit in middle school. I don't even think I tried in middle school. In high school, I tried a little bit, and in college, after college, actually, I went to Sports Authority. They had a sale, a clearance sale, like one of those like parking lot clearance sales um, where you they just put all their excess inventory in the parking lot, and you buy whatever you want at a massive discount because they're getting rid of it. And so I bought this pair of New Balance shoes. You see, up to this point, every time I try running, I had pains in my back, in my knee. I'd get shin splints. Running wasn't fun. It wasn't this meditative thing. It didn't clear my head. It wasn't what it does nowadays because I was focusing on the pain. It was not comfortable. And I've tried buying all sorts of running shoes, expensive ones, but I was always buying Reebok and Nike and Adidas. These were the things that were at the store. These were the things that were being advertised. That's what was there. But this one time, with this clearance, and I know someone out there watching just said at band camp, and no, I did not go to band camp. So this one time, with this clearance, I went and I saw they had this pair of New Balance shoes for $34. Now, you can make your Jewish jokes, whatever you want. I'm not a Jew, I'm Jewish. You know, I can't turn down a good deal. Running shoes for $34. I mean, I was paying 70 for other pairs, right? So I got them, but they're black. And no, I'm not racist. I was just wearing white sneakers, and so these things just sat in my closet. I wasn't actually using them. I wore my regular sneakers so much that they were getting holes in them. They were falling apart. So when they started falling apart, like, well, time to get new shoes. And I was like, wait, I got that one pair that I bought that I've never worn. It's in the bottom of my closet collecting dust. Why don't I wear those? So I did. And then for some reason, I decided to try jogging. And it didn't hurt. There was no shin splints. There was no back pain. There was no knee pain. I was able to just enjoy the weather and enjoy the run. I ran 5 miles, I believe, that day, and I wasn't in pain. So I was like, this is really cool, and I really enjoyed that. And so I went again and again. But that's not what got me hooked. That's just what made me realize. And here's the lesson of the story, or one of them, that having good shoes makes a world of difference. And good shoes doesn't mean expensive shoes. It means the shoes that are right for you. Different people have different feet. So if you're interested in jogging, if you're thinking of running, if you've ever thought about it and go, no, 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 I'm not a runner. I've tried it. It hurts. It sucks. I'm slow. Whatever. No, give it a try. Go to a running store and ask them to evaluate your feet. They'll have you walk around the store. They'll look at your feet, and they're gonna find what shoes are right for you because they know, and you don't, because you're not a shoe expert. You don't have to buy the most expensive thing. For $60, $70, you can get shoes that will last you a very long time, and you can put many miles on them. So I had my New Balance, and now I was a loyal customer for life. I was never going to wear another pair of running shoes. Technically, now I run in my Vibram 5 fingers, which are kind of like gloves, and they're not running shoes, but they're not really shoes either, so, well, let that exception slide. But that's not when I got hooked on running. That's just when I realized that it can be fun, that I can enjoy it, that I can do it without pain. I was living in 2004, 2005. I moved into this high rise on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. It was literally on the corner of like my backyard. Like, it's not like I had to walk a block and get to the beach. I'd go down the elevator. I lived on the 15th floor, and I'd go down the elevator and I'd walk out the back door, and I'm on the beach. And the other side, so the other corner of the building, it was the Port Everglades. So all the cruise ships would go out my backyard. And there's a real funny story there too, because old people are the major inhabitants of these buildings. And They love nothing more to do. I can't say nothing more because I'm sure they're all interesting and unique individuals that have many hobbies and interests. However, as an artist, as a nocturnal worker that would go to sleep often at 7 or 8 in the morning, I noticed that these people just love to blow air horns and chime bells and wave when cruise ships would go through my backyard. This sucks when you're just going to sleep and a cruise ship comes in at 9 in the morning. Like, I just went to sleep. Please, like air horns, bells, I mean, God, play a harp or something, something less annoying. So, they would do this. So, my last week there, my last week before I moved out, since I had already moved all my stuff out, I bought an air horn. And I went to the boat supply store, and the guy says, "Oh, air horn. What do you need that for? Everyone's coming in. Is there like a football game or something?" I'm like, "Man, if everyone's coming in to get them for the same reason that I am, this should be a very entertaining week." And what I did was that whole week. See, I would go to bed early in the morning. Old people go to bed usually pretty early at night. 10, 11. So between the hours of 11:30 p.m. and 4 a.m., I would chime. I would blow that air horn. I would duck under the window ledge. Ooh, make sure I'm not getting too much wind here. I would duck under the windowsill and I would blow the air horn so people couldn't see who was making the noise. And just little bursts, just to show them the error of their ways. And the last night that I was there was a party going on in one of the buildings across the way, and they had gotten an air horn. They were already up to. They already knew what I was up to, so they started blowing their air horn, and I was blowing back, and they would blow twice, I would blow twice, and then like people were shining spotlights trying to find out where the sound's coming from. It was fun. I actually have a video of this somewhere. I have to post that. But anyway, so this is about running, not about old people and air horns. So I was living on the beach, and I figured, well, I'm living on the beach, I should probably go jogging down the beach. I already had a pair of New Balance. I went to the running store and got them, and I had I had an iPod first generation when the iPods first came out. Here's the thing that sucked about those: they actually had hard drives in them, so when you run, you're creating shock. So I went through those things like some people go through underwear. Well, maybe not as quickly, but I went through probably like 5 or 6 of those because they would just break because I'd keep running. But here's the thing: I would I had this mix. I had this mix of MP3s. I had Apollo 440, like the Lost in Space theme that by them is awesome. I had a bunch of stuff by Moby, Custom, all sorts of stuff that was like fast beat that I could run to, different speeds really. And when I would get tired, when I would slow down, I would just crank the music or find a faster track, and my ears would hurt, and I'd bleed acid, as they say, and I would just start running faster, and I'd do it. I can do it. I can do it. I would just push, and I wasn't even racing. I was just doing it because to push myself. Well, one day, I don't know where, I was just in an inspired thought. I think, I wonder if I could keep the same pace listening to an audio book. So I mentioned this theory to a friend of mine, and he gives me his Audible account login. And I log in, and I don't recognize any of the books. I mean, it's all like, I just saw books I didn't recognize. But I did recognize one name after going through pages upon pages of book listings: Dale Carnegie's Win Friends and Influence People. You see, I've had this book sitting on my bookshelf for over 10 years. In 1995, when I was doing door-to-door sales in North Carolina, which really sucked and I will never ever do again, I was a college student, and they recruit college students to do stupid things that no one else would do. And although it was a good experience, I guess you could say, I learned from it. And one of the things that they gave us was that book. They gave us Og Mandino's Greatest Salesman in the World, and Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I did not read it. So it's been sitting on my shelf for 11 years at that point, and I hadn't read it. So wait, why don't I read it? Why don't I listen to this book? Why don't I see what it's about? Plus, it was the only thing I recognized. So I load this on my iPod, and It is slow. There's a very monotonous reader that is just talking about what Dale Carnegie said and blah 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 blah. I'm like, think I'm going to fall asleep listening to this thing without running. Like, thank God I got the running going on, so at least I'll get some blood flowing and I won't fall asleep listening to this thing. Here's the interesting thing: my time, I made good time. Just as good as when I'm blasting music to make my ears bleed and run faster. I made good time. So I was excited about that, but what I was really excited about is that I actually felt really stupid for not having read this book. I mean, if I had read this book back in '95 when I was given it, imagine where my life would be. And by the way, viewer, listener, I highly recommend you go through that book if you've never read it. And if you have read it, then go read it again. It's a classic, it's a timeless reminder, and you can really improve your life by improving your people skills. And although Dale Carnegie wrote it back in, I believe, the 1930s, this is timeless human advice. So, do yourself a favor, go through it. Dale Carnegie's Win Friends and Influence People. And if you don't like to read it because it's too boring, get the audiobook. We already know that works. Go jogging. So here's what happened. I saw it was this incredible knowledge. It just rang true. I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And back then I was doing photography and design. I had this client, Juanita, one of my models, and she was such a pain in the ass. And I tried it. I tried some of the things that Dale Carnegie said, and it worked. It didn't work like magic, like I did this and boom, everything worked. But I could tell that it had the influence. It had the potential. It did to a degree. I mean, this was my first time. I was trying it cold. It's not like I practiced this stuff or anything. I listened to the book and I tried it, and it worked. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. What else? So the next book I got was Zig Ziglar's You Can Be a Winner. At this point, I'd never in my life listened to a motivational book. It was like, yeah, those frou-frou, hippie, happy people, yeah, screw them. So I listened to this book, and I was like, wow, this is pretty exciting. In fact, I still quote Zig. He tells this thing, about when he was like, I was that kid that Zig's got this thick accent. He sounds like that chicken from the Looney Tunes cartoons, Foghorn. Hey guys, what's the name of that chicken? No, that chicken. The Foghorn something, the big white chicken. I'll say, boy. Did you guys watch like Looney Tunes? Foghorn Leghorn. All right, there you go. So Zig Ziglar sounded like Foghorn Leghorn. He's got this like deep Southern accent, and he says all this great stuff like, when I was a kid, my dad, I told my dad, I think I flunked the arithmetic test, and he says, son, you need to be more positive. He goes, all right, Dad, well, I'm positive I'll flunk that arithmetic exam. But he's really funny. He's got a lot of little antics and anecdotes, and I felt pretty darn good after listening to that. In fact, I was more motivated, and so I got more books. The next one was Lyle Lowndes, How to Talk to Anyone. And the point is that for a guy that prides himself on knowing a lot, compared to what I know now, I knew nothing then. And it was listening to these audiobooks. With each one, I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning all these new skills. I can totally use this. I was blown away because I didn't have to take the time and read. Apparently, reading is not the way that I learn. I can read and I can learn, but listening worked, and there were less distractions. See, I get distracted. You've already probably noticed me fidgeting around, scratching my shoulder, playing with my hair, adjusting this thing. I'm fidgety. So we all learned in different ways. If I just have to sit there in bed and read a book, I'm going to start trying to clean my room or decide I want to cook something, or I want to find all these things. But if I'm running and I have a set distance, let's say 5 miles or 10 miles, then I got no distractions. I'm running and I'm listening to a book. That's it. So all of a sudden I anchored, which is like NLP term. When you neurolinguistic programming, it's when you associate one thing. So think of Pavlov's dog, right? Pavlov would ring the bell, and his dog, associated with eating, would start drooling. I associate running with learning really useful tools that can change my life. And that's when I became hooked. I would go running just about every single day. And then in 2006, when I hired a coach, and she had asked me, "What are 12 things that you're going to do in the next or in the next year?" And one of them was running a 5K. So I trained, and I ran a 5K. Did I win? Did I rate? Nah, I did fairly poorly, but I did it. I finished a 5K. The other week, I finished a 10K. This is now years later. This is now 6 years later, or 5 years later. And funny enough, speaking of chickens, look, there's some wild chickens. They're running in the yard. Can you see them? So, yeah, I ran a 10K. And now I'm here in Maui, and I'm training with Tara. And I'm going to run faster. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run a 13.1 mile half marathon. But there was one other story about the running that I remembered, and yes, I told it out of chronological order. You see, when I was in high school, I wanted one of those cool varsity jackets. Only thing is, you have to do something for them. You can't just buy them at the bookstore. So, I mean, how hard can it be, right? You know, the chess club people get them. Yeah, so my math teacher at the time, his senior year, he was in charge of the cross country team. And since I don't actually read notifications or see like when you're supposed to sign up for stuff, I already missed all the other events, all the things that you could sign up for. I just asked my teacher, I'm like, hey, you got any spots on the team? He said, sure. So I start jogging with them, and I'm doing fairly poorly because these are all like little stick people that look like Ethiopians with their ribs showing and the six packs, and screw them, bastard. I was still feeling fat. Just to let you know how fat I felt, like back in middle school and high school and PE class, I was embarrassed to take my shirt off in the locker room to change. I would wait till everyone else left the locker room, and then I would take my shirt off and change. Yeah, that bad. Not that I was like obese, but many of you know, many of you don't, but it's all in your head. So yeah, so I started jogging with these guys, and then we had our first race. I was excited. My first race. I'm pretty close to a jacket. All I gotta do is last a season. So I've been jogging with the team. I should probably do pretty well at this thing, right? Yeah, about that. So we're at the lineup, right? We got our numbers on. We're wearing our jerseys. I got my fancy schmancy Asics running shoes. This is years before I discovered New Balance, and it's the people from my team. It's me, and it's all these people from other schools, right? All these high schoolers, and we're in the lineup, and boom, they shoot, and everyone takes off. Well, I can run faster than these people. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna beat everyone. I take off running. I sprint right from the opening line. I'm running and I'm passing everyone. I'm so happy. Are these people so stupid that they don't realize that they're gonna get beat by me on my very first race? Yeah, well, like a block later, I'm sitting there and panting like some kind of pervert on the side of the phone. I'm watching you, and I can smell you. Well, that's not what I was saying in the race, and I've never called someone and said that, but I was just panting. I was out of breath. I was like, oh, this sucks. And then all of a sudden, all these slow ass people are passing me by. This sucks. I had spent all my energy taking off like that I basically walked most of the way. I would try to get a little jog going here and there, but by the time I got to the finish line, I think everyone had gone home except for my school because they were waiting on my slow ass, and it was really embarrassing. And then I realized I had a brilliant insight about running that changed everything. See, if I want to win in running, that's not what I thought about. I thought, I got the running shoes. I was just the worst runner there. Maybe I'm not a runner. But what I really thought was, I live in Florida. what the hell do I need a jacket for anyways? I mean, when the hell am I going to wear a jacket? And that was the end of my running career until I started running for the right reason, which is that it brings me mental clarity, it makes me more productive, it's kind of meditative for me. I get to ground myself and get in my own energy and filter out all the noise and all the concerns. I can't sit there and focus about all the stress about a particular project that and the annoying email that someone sent me while I'm running. I can, however, focus on positive things and come up with new solutions, and I can solve that problem and I can do the thing. When I was living in Atlanta, I would call my clients, usually about 4 miles into my run, and be like, hey, I came up with an idea. And they'd be like, wow, that's awesome. And I'd be like, yeah, email it to me because I'm drenched in sweat and I'm by the river and I'm going to forget it. And I'd come back and I'd have an email from them with my idea. So when you're doing things, do them for your own reasons. And so I enjoy it. I enjoy learning. And I do both. So that's my story for today. That's probably like 3 or 4 or 5 stories, whatever. Enjoy. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you got any stories you'd like to hear, if you've already heard me mention a couple things, if you think there's any of my stories that you'd love to hear, that you think that other people would enjoy hearing, but you've already heard, maybe you read in a blog post and you want the full story, let me know. Leave a comment below me, and I will record the next one soon.